We leave Fran about to enter the dungeon alone, and as a good shonen protagonist, she wants to finish everyone. Shisho suggests she goes easy because, to be honest, the one who ends up doing the dirty work is always Shisho. However, this time the sword is not so worried as they've come prepared and bought a transportation pen in case things get spicy inside. Once inside the dungeon, the goblins start to appear, but Shisho tells Fran to take it easy and not to go crazy wanting to kill everyone. He tells her that the best thing to do is take care of only the strongest goblins with special abilities because that way he can take the crystals to increase his power. As a good assassin, Shisho hides the bodies in something like a dimensional garbage dump where he deposits the bodies of the goblins without crystals so that the rest of the group doesn't suspect anything. In this chapter, something unusual happens. Fran has improved her skills and Shisho lets her know and congratulates her for the first time. This makes Fran feel very happy, but the happiness doesn't last long because she encounters a gang of many goblins. But when Shisho realizes that there are no goblins of interest to her, she uses fire magic and kills them all in one go. Our heroes get tired of walking and scare two hobgoblins so that by escaping they can lead them to the hideout of the Goblin King and Queen. The group of adventurers led by Donadron make their way through the remaining goblins left behind by Fran. The dwarf and Donadron realize that Fran has finished off the strongest goblins and left the rest for them. They talk about Fran's incredible level and skill, but end up saying that she's still a child and no matter how good she is with a sword, one careless move can put her in serious danger. So they set out to move on to help her defeat all the goblins inside the dungeon. Fran has already located the king and queen and Shisho tells her that they possess a powerful aura. Fran is impatient and wants to go on the attack, but Shisho stops her by telling her his plan and explaining that he will first use magic to distract most of the goblins, then go after the king and queen. But after Shisho's magic trick, everyone is dead, and Fran cries because she really wanted to fight the king and queen. Not today, my love. After killing the kings, they wonder if that's the end of the mission, but they realize that there is one more door and think that the dungeon boss must be there. Upon entering, they encounter a swarm of insects. Shisho stops them in the air with his magic, while Fran is tearing them apart with his sword. That is, with Shisho. Shisho headbutt! Our heroes spend more than half an hour killing insects, and when they realize that there are too many, Shisho begins to think of another way to accomplish the mission. He notices that among all the insects there is a red one. Upon analyzing it, he sees that this insect has the power to summon relatives, and it is he who is calling thousands of insects every minute. So using his fire magic and with Fran's intervention, they manage to defeat it and acquire the ability to summon relatives. They find another door in the dungeon and perceive that the creature behind the door is of a high level, so they'd better be prepared because Fran may never have faced someone so powerful. Shisho scans the monster and is surprised by its power as it exceeds 1,000 points. It is considered a monster capable of destroying entire cities. A goblin wizard also appears who is uglier than licking an asphalt runway. But Shisho realizes that he has no power and that he has most likely created the dangerous monster with the dungeon's core, which is at his side. The demon begins to fight and everyone surprised rebels against the dungeon master, telling him that he's useless. Shisho's not surprised as he knows that the demon has the ability to reveal himself to his masters. Fran cannot wait any longer and launches into the attack. The demon also has a very powerful sword. In fact, it is more powerful than Shisho, but thanks to the fact that Fran has consumed a lot of mana, the hero couple is not in great danger. The demon recognizes that Fran has more skill with the sword than him and creates a plan to get rid of Fran, who thinks she is confident and attacks her with all her strength, but realizes that it was all a trap, and the demon ends up cutting both her hands off and separating her from her sword. Shisho becomes Merlin from all the magic he uses to fix the shit Fran left behind. He covers Fran, casts flames, uses telekinesis to join Fran's hands, and finally healing magic to glue Fran's hands back together. No wonder they say cats have 9 lives. After healing Fran, the demon mocks them and promises that this time he'll kill Fran, but also repeats again that her sword skill is superior to his, so the demon uses Skill Taker, an ability that Shisho didn't know, to take Fran's fighting skill and defeat her without difficulty. The demon bores us with the classic speech of "I'm the badass in the world and I'm gonna torture you so you can see how bad I am." After listening to the demon, Fran throws herself into the fight, and thanks to her improvement in combat, she manages to damage the demon, but it's not a mortal blow. On the contrary, she's only managed to tear his cheek. The demon is confused because Fran still has her ability intact, even though the demon has taken it away from her. Shisho has a theory, and as the one who has the real ability is him and not Fran, when applying the technique to Fran, it has no effect as she has the ability as borrowed and not as her own. The dungeon master tries to help the demon by summoning more goblins, but it is the demon himself who destroys them and warns the dungeon master that if he intervenes again, he'll tear off all his limbs. Yes, all his limbs, including the ones you're thinking of. The demon tells everyone that they've had enough, that he's bored of them and that it's more fun to destroy cities. So first he takes care of them and then he can fulfill his hobby without problems. The demon unleashes its power and Fran manages to resist it by using Shisho very well, but the power is so great that even the group that is relegated notices the great power and worries about Fran's life. Shisho tells Fran not to be a jerk and that they'd better escape with the magic pen they have to teleport, but Fran wants to defeat the monster before it reaches the city and attacks the guild, as many people could die in that event. Fran asks Shisho to lend him his power and goes on the attack against the demon. The demon and Fran engage in a fight that has so far been one of the most entertaining and exciting in the series. It is true that Fran has been running from one side to the other, trying to dodge the blows, but even so, it's been exciting. The demon is tired of chasing Fran and plans to finish her off once and for all. It launches a great attack that Fran manages to dodge in part, but in the end she's hit by the flames and flies through the air with great damage to her body. But Shisho has been very attentive in observing the demon since it seems that it has no weakness to defeat it. Shisho has noticed that the demon's mana is very big and it can use magic and attacks constantly, but for every attack it launches, pieces of rocks are falling from the ceiling of the dungeon. Shisho has also noticed that the demon shoots everywhere except where the dungeon boss is, so Shisho purposefully launches an attack towards the dungeon boss and the demon takes the bait, defending the boss and blocking the attack. Shisho remembers what Donadron told Fran about dungeons. Every time you kill a boss, the core of that dungeon goes into a state of dormancy and all magical activities such as monsters summoned by the dungeon boss disappear. Shisho communicates this to Fran, who, together with Shisho, sets out to counterattack. Shisho and Fran plan to trick the demon. They've realized that after each attack there are 3 seconds of time until the demon is fully charged with mana again. So Fran goes on the attack while the demon throws fire at her. Immediately Fran casts Shisho a wind spell and attacks the demon with a fire beam. This makes the demon have to choose between blocking Fran's magic or preventing the sword from getting through the dungeon boss, but the demon is very powerful and manages to block Fran's magic and at the same time block Shisho's passage, but this was just what our heroes needed. Shisho had anticipated the demon and guessing that he would make that move, he took advantage of the 3 seconds without magic to change his course and propel himself faster by means of magic, aiming at the heart of the demon, right where his magic crystal is located. The demon manages to catch the blade of the sword before it can embed itself in his heart and is surprised to see that the sword can speak. Shisho tells him that he'll pay for all the pain he made his beloved Fran feel. Shisho uses extra magic to boost himself with more strength, and as he pierces the demon's body, he shouts loudly saying that he wants all the experience for killing the demon to go exclusively to Fran. The demon begins to dry up now that he no longer possesses a drop of mana. Fran can't believe how strong Shisho is and runs towards him to hug him. But it's time for the tear bombs because Shisho has used all his mana and the sword starts to break into pieces. Fran hugs him while Shisho faces away, saying that the last crystal was delicious. Fran thinks that Shisho is going to die, but the sword reassures her by telling her not to think that he's dead, but that he can be restored because he absorbed a lot of mana from the crystal and there are ways to self-repair. "Give me back my tears, you assholes." Fran tells him that he's a son of a bitch for tricking her and giving her such a big scare, but that she still loves him and is glad he's not going to die. But Fran doesn't have much time to cry or rejoice because the dungeon boss is still alive and tells Fran that his power will make it possible to summon a demon even stronger than the last one. Fran tells him to stop talking nonsense and takes the sword from him, but the boss mocks her by showing her a magic bracelet and telling her that as long as he has the bracelet, he can revive as many times as he wants. Fran thinks 2 + 2 = 4, so he cuts off the dungeon boss's hand and the matter is resolved. Shisho also thinks fast and puts the bracelet in his interdimensional trash can for future adventures. Wasn't Shisho dead? Not anymore. That sword's very fast. When Fran wants to finish with the boss, he realizes that he's already dead. Who killed him? No idea. Maybe he was scared to death when he realized that he was screwed and that they were going to kill him anyway. Points for the boss. I would do the same. If they're going to kill me, I'd better kill myself. I'm too old for someone else to do things for me. The dungeon is cleared and the group of warriors arrive at Fran's to find out if she's alright. Fran hides the goblin boss sword in Shisho's bottomless sack, and the group asks her if she defeated the demon alone. Fran responds by saying that it was a very strong enemy. Back from the mission, Shisho tells Fran that he has leveled up to level 25 and will now be able to acquire new powers and abilities. They upgrade Fran's sword skills and improve the newly acquired skill taker technique, with which they will be able to steal any character skill every 18 days. Back at the guild, Fran is questioned by the guildmaster, and she tells him that she didn't expect there to be a B-class demon like the one she just defeated. The master also asks her about the demon crystal, and Fran tells him that it was totally destroyed. But at that moment, a new character appears, who says that Fran is lying about the destruction of the crystal, and so the chapter ends. Thank you very much for watching the full video. If you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe and activate all notifications so you won't miss any of our summaries. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it and comment what you thought. And if possible, share it with your friends. See you until next time.